This is a 1976 Royal American, which is an extremely, dig that funky strobe stripe from 1976, which was pretty popular in the Mopar world, the strobe stripes as well. So it was just kind of a thing of the era that folded over into the boat world, and of course it folded over from the car world to the boat world, like the big fin boats and so on down the way there, so in the 50s. So, well, you had to have the same style if it was sitting in your driveway. Big fin car, big fin boats. Strobe stripe car, strobe stripe boat. So, long story short, this boat belongs to a friend and client of mine, Tony. His father bought this new, which more on that later. We're going to tell the tale. But what it's in here for is we're going to restore that trailer and customize it and make it really cool to match the boat. And we're going to restore the boat or resurrect. In other words, brand new strobe stripe, all buffed out on the lowers. Working with another shop on doing the gel coat because I'm overwhelmed with things to do and we need to outsource for reasons we will get into later on in future videos. But this is just a introduction video here, and I'm going to buff out the motor well so we can see the metal flake because it's a really beautiful blue metal flake. The seats were replaced some time ago because, of course, seats don't last, and they're pretty tall seats. There should have been like a 7 or 8 inch in this boat, not 12-inch pedestal. So I'm going to guess probably an 8-inch pedestal. So they're about 4 inches taller than they need to be. And so if you're a big fella, your knees are going to be crushed on the steering wheel, as you can see. So it's not comfortable to ride in. The windshield, we do have the windshield. The windshield is off the boat and in storage because I don't want anything to happen to it because it is really funky and rare and so on there. I like these fake fin deals here. This is just too cool. So it looks from the side like you got this air pocket for airflow, and when you look in it, and there's no airflow. But it's still cool. But this would really be great to catch your leg on, I'm thinking. Nah, I'm sure Tony's got a story or two on that. I have a vinyl guy who's already recreated the iridescent strobe stripe for me. He's already done the new license lettering because that leaves a lot to be desired. And the goal today is to strip all this off, and that is just plain and simple not going to be fun. And then we're going to start buffing the sides while it's on this trailer. Then it's going to be transplanted to that trailer, and in the meantime we're going to pick it up with crane straps and my hoist to do a transplant. And while it's in the air, we're going to buff the whole bottom of the boat and get it all cleaned up really nice and put a few coats of wax on it so it makes it nice and slippery. So there's some goals we're going to set today. And so just to give you a little intro on the boat, like I said, I'm going to tell the story of how this came to pass in their family and where we're going with it, what originally it was powered with, what it was repowered with, and what it was repowered with, if that's the case, and what it's going to be powered with now, because that's going to be a whole video series by itself. This is getting one of my custom Frank and Merc inline 6 motors. So this boat's rated for a lot, and she'll handle a lot for a 14-foot boat. It's got a really nice V-hull design, so it'll have a nice ride and she'll scoot pretty good, but it's a heavy freaking boat. It's built really well. Another thing I really want to point out, which we got to try to save this, is this funky 1976 bicentennial red, white, and blue carpet is so cool. that I know I'll never be able to replace this, so we're going to very carefully clean it as best we can. And there's some wear spots, as you can see, but you know what? Patina is in, and we're just going to clean this up as best we can. The wood grain on the dash, I already have all that remade, so that's all good to go. And a majority of this carpet's good. As you can see, that side piece is kind of gone to hell. In there, the interior package. That's just a embossed, standard embossed stuff, which I believe that I know I can get my hands on it. I don't know where I can actually get to see some of it. Oh, here we go. There. That's embossed material, and I know I can get that through my vinyl guy here in town. So we've already looked at that for other project boats. So I'll take a sample to him, say order me this, and I will have it in within a matter of days. I'm not sure what we're going to do on the side pieces, if we're going to try to save them. They're pretty rough, but they're still not very bad. They got a few dingers here and there. As you can see, there's a mark there. This side's got some decay. As you can see, it's starting to crack a little bit there. But Wesley's bleach white and some material I used to soften this material, I think we can save it. This thing is cooked. This is nastiness. So it's going to go. There's not a doubt about it. We're also going to pull the fuel tanks out of this. Like I said, we're going to clean the carpet as best we can, but this thing is completely shot. I'm going to go to my vinyl guy and I'm going to have him make a brand new back drape for it. As soon as I get it taken out there, I'll just take it over. This is a simple project for him, and I think we even have this material in the shop in stock or something very, very close to it. So, a lot of cleaning yet to do to save the older parts, which is a real pain in the butt, but it's what we got to do. So this is just kind of an intro. Why do you roll in the dirt? You're so stupid. Cats. Can't have ranch land without cats. Not that they do anything besides roll in the dirt and act stupid. So, the trailer itself, we're going to delete. That's the other thing I was going to take a quick mention here too, is we're going to be deleting the tilt mechanism here, because these are such a bone of contention with grounding and so on there as far as the trailer goes. So we're going to be welding that solid at some point in time. In all honesty, it's just a whole lot easier if, for painting purposes, that it's not welded. But okay, well, so if we get a little longer tongue, I'm going to send this out to a guy I know to sandblast the frame. That's what he does, and so I'm going to have that all taken care of. I'm going to do all the small parts myself. Yeah, that's a galvanized winch stand. But what we're going to do there is we're going to actually paint it to match the boat with kind of the blue metallic here. We're going to go down that path instead. We discussed it on Saturday, and that's the direction we're headed. Same thing for the galvanized fenders, which I'm kind of don't like the idea of bolts coming through, because that's just a great place for the paint to start cracking at some point. So I will be addressing that as well. But that's the plan. We're going to paint peripherally. We're going to paint as much stuff as we can for accent purposes, and we're probably going to take those marker lights and flip them around the other way. Just depends. This is exactly the way the trailer came, so he wants to stay as original as humanly possible with all this. And maybe I'll get him to upgrade with some LED lights. He could stand to use some new and improved lights, or whatever parts are missing. I don't think I have that part. I might on the other one. So the big thing here is the project that's afoot. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag on the engine yet, and until I get the opportunity here to do more. But it probably would look something similar to that. Real similar to that. Like a lot similar to that. With a few modifications. So, anyway. Yeah, it's going to be a super cool rig when it's all said and done. It's just going to look gorgeous. But we're going to haul the mail on this thing because we want to get this thing done. This is the first week in October. We want it done by the end of the month and test trials in the water by the end of the month, weather provided. And it seems like we're going to have some decent weather, so we're going to go with that. So, 14 foot, Royal American. Stay tuned. Gonna add a couple more things on the end here, too. So we're gonna do a little follow-up here because I didn't wet sand this, and I probably should have, but to start with, but I wanted to see how smooth this was and if it was going to come back and if it was capable of clearing over it, you know, so this looks good, you know, so we can put gel coat clear over the top of it, do a blend somewhere down the side or in the back here, and just re-clear this so we don't have to deal with affected areas like all this nastiness. I'm going to put a plate over this anyway. This is all going to be hidden, and it's going to be bolt through because it's mercury, and there will be these, but I'm gonna bury all these sins anyway. Don't care, you know. Take this back rail off, of course, so that you can put clear on it. But there's stress cracks, real fine stress cracks running through here, and it's a I don't care type of thing, and I'm sure Tony don't care either, because if you have to gouge all them out and fix all those and that radius, I've done them before, and they suck. I mean, gel coat will flow into those. It'll magnify them, you know, some, but it'll flow into those. And for what this boat's going to see for the remainder of its days, it's a show pony. It's going to go out in the water and play a little bit, and I guess you can see that spider. Maybe you can see that spider crack right there. There's that, and then there's another one somewhere in here from an impact coming this way. I don't remember where that one was, but reality is this thing really should have gotten, well, if I back up, it looks better. And I don't know if I can get back that far. Well, I can't. There. Oop, wait a minute. There. It is shiny on that corner, but if I can take and sand, wet sand this whole thing and get this motor well to buff out and let these guys, or have them do it, and let these guys re-gel coat the whole freaking rest of the top of the boat. So that's what we're talking about right now with the shop. And they do a lot of gel coat work and repair work on boats, so they know what they're doing. So they should be able to put some lipstick on the pig. The only thing bad about this whole situation here is this rivet, or however this is held on from the back side. There's one rivet there, and so this piece here is a, I think, tape it off thing, and that's gonna suck because anytime you got to tape off or mask off anything. The other thing that's gonna suck is this is a nice gap right here where gel coat could go up against it and that sort of thing, but it gets super tight in here as you go along. It gets super tight, and it wants to bridge. It's going to want to bridge and come across that tape. So the only way you can get away from that is, and I talked to him about this too, is you come along after you get done, you come along and you let her start to kick, and as she's kicking, you come along here with a real freaking sharp carpet knife, and you're in that groove, and you just cut it. That's the only way you can do it. And then wet sand and buff, and it's as good as it gets. So taking this rub rail off of here is a huge mistake. Huge mistake, because this rubber is going to bust all to hell, and you'll never find this material again, ever. You might be able to find something with this width, still to this day. Maybe some Crestliner stuff would be out there, but boy, I tell you what, it's just a I don't want to touch it thing. But the rest of this boat is just absolutely cooked. I mean, I'm not going to go any further. This is so rough right here. This feels like, I don't know, egret sandpaper. It's just that bad. And, well, what the guys will do is they'll 80 grit sand all of this and prep it. They'll sand and prep this whole thing. And because it doesn't have any impacts or spider cracks or repair areas to do on the deck, that part's going to be super easy. The sides, the gunnels, that's going to be easy in comparison to some of the crap that I've done. But I mean, this does look pretty good, I guess. I don't know if my camera can pick it up, but it is pretty. It's a hell of a pretty color. You know, it is just gorgeous, but it is so dead. You can see if you get, I probably can't see with the glare, but it just won't shine. And I threw a couple things at it that usually shine stuff up pretty quick, and that I'm going to use on the rest of the boat. But anyway, so that's the game plan. I got to get back out of the sun here. So that's the game plan for that part of this thing, and kind of end this whole thing. We're going to go into the whole history of the boat coming up here, probably in the next part of this. But just wanted to get this out there. So if the guys that are bidding the work for doing the top of this, if they want to see this video, they can, so they can see what they're getting themselves into. So I want to get this out on our YouTube channel as soon as possible. And I got to get after getting all the rest of those stripes off there today. And this boat has to come in here, go up on the hoist. I put crane straps underneath my hoist arms and put them over the boat and pick boats up all the time with the hoist. It works super, super easy. You don't want to put the hoist underneath the sides unless you like punching. Well, you could if you put enough stuff on there. You can pick them up that way. You know, like brain quit. Like towels and what have you over the hoist arms and that sort of thing, so that it doesn't damage the gel coat. I mean, you could potentially do that on some boats. You could do that in the back here. There's a flat spot in the back, but when you start getting up here underneath the hull, picking it up right here, it really isn't a good flat spot, and it might slip out. And if it slips out and falls down on the ground, you got a lot of really bad things happening. So to simplify it, leave your hoist arms out, fold them over the top of the thing, use a couple crane straps, go down underneath the boat, and up you go. Whoops. I guess, so sling it roughly. Or you can sling it with a loader and a tractor too, or a forklift. We used to use our big forklift mostly for doing this kind of thing, but the hoist works just as easy. You only have to lift it up a few inches. You slide one trailer out, you slide the other trailer in. Takes a matter of minutes and that part's done. And then you can start ripping the trailer apart. And I guarantee we will be getting rid of the shag carpeting. You notice that on there? Shag. That's been on there a while. So that's got to go. So yeah, no, it's trailer rebuilds are fun. A lot of work, really, for what it's worth. It's just underneath the boat. But when they get rusty and nasty, and it's just better to purdy them up, and they stay for a really long time. Anyway, enough about this silliness. This is pretty much just about as far as I'm going to take this, and I'm going to start taking the interior out and working on the sides, take the interior out, and try to get this thing trailer swapped yet today. So like and subscribe if you want to see this build go, because this thing could be pretty much getting a motor put on it in 2 weeks if everything goes the way it's supposed to, which I'll be grateful if that happens. So the first thing we're going to be doing here, and we already got started at, as you can see that the Royal American decal, which I have a brand new one of those, by the way, custom made by a wonderful lady in St. Paul, Minnesota. Anyway, this, all the glue and sticky crap had to be removed, and you can see I'm starting to remove the strobe decal, which is going to take a ridiculous amount of time because it's really long and it's going to take a long time, probably over an hour just to do that. My arms don't fall off. And that's an eraser wheel. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that before, but those will take these decals off without damaging the boat, and it looks like it's smearing eraser all over the side of this thing. You might want to get yourself an air chuck to blow that off every now and then. But it not only takes the decal, it takes the glue, it takes it all off, versus a heat gun, and you get part of it and you leave crap behind if you're lucky. And heat guns just really don't work. As far as the Minnesota lettering, I'm actually lucky enough to get underneath it with a razor blade very carefully, and some of it's peeling off. So hopefully, I'm looking at this going to take it 2 to 3 hours to get all this off each side, and then the next step is to clean it off really good and get after it and start buffing it and get the sides as shiny as I can get it and seal it with this material I have, and then get a coat of wax on it, and then I'm going to proceed to remove the boat from the trailer and put it on my hoist with slings. As you can see, my hoist arms here, I'll have those up next to it and a sling underneath it and pick it up so that I can start doing the underside and buffing the underside, which, believe me, that part really sucks. I have to get the interior out of it too. I want to get most of the interior out of it as well, and usually the steering column is a royal pain in the ass. The side panels too. That back drape. Just spoke with Tony a few minutes ago, and he wants me to get this super cleaned up in this area because it shows the color the best of what the color was, and he wants it dead to rights matched the original color. So that being said, this has to go, and these are all Phillips screws that are rusty and nasty, and I wonder how many of those are actually going to come out of there. Plus, I got to get this back drape to my upholstery god. Another thing I'm going to show, as long as I'm here, you can see in the corner of that, at the well there's a plug there. That is a plug, so if any water got in the other side of that stringer, that you could take that plug out and it could flow out of there. Now, I'm not saying there's any water in there, but we're going to remove those and check it just to be safe. And this has all got to get pressure washed again, but I'm not going to waste my time doing that until after I get the seats removed, and then we will scrub the carpet super good and get that as good as it can be and take out that nasty side panel stuff, and that'll come out. And then these side pieces that run down here, we'll try to get those out of there too. So seats, side pieces, steering column. Gonna remove the light switch and just leave that with the wiring harness up underneath the boat. When I take the steering column out, I think I'm probably gonna just take and put all that up underneath the front end of the boat and bring this part, the cable, and bring this inside the boat and just let it lay inside there. That'll be good enough. It can stay with the boat. Oh yeah, this has got to come off. This end piece, this piece across here has to come off, and this caulk garbage that's on here, we'll just take a razor blade and clean that off. The guys at the shop, they'll take better care of that. So, which I haven't heard back from them yet, but I didn't really want to overdo it with the buffing because this is all going to get gel coat, this whole thing. So it's the way it's going to end up. So, oh yeah, these handles have to come off too, and I have no idea what I'm into here, but I guarantee you stainless screws will be used when I put this back together. Why the factory used steel screws and not stainless is beyond me. And they did the same thing up here too. And these have to come off because this is all going to be completely gel coated. Oh, the bow light, that's going to have to come off, and I'm almost guaranteed I'll have to cut the wires up front on that. That would be a good time, climbing up inside this thing. I hate that part. God, that hurts. Removal of the tag on the dash too, that's got to go. And I got to take a picture of that where it gets located in case the holes get filled full of gel coat by some strange means. Also, you notice that there's this piece here. This has to be removed as well, this trim piece, and that just slides on there. So all that trim has to be taken off too, so that when they do the gel coat, they go right over the top of this. The only thing that's a bone of contention with the guys at the shop is going to be this frickin' rub rail. I do not want that to come off, and I certainly don't want to take this thing off. Not too excited about it. If this had to come off, it would probably have to get very carefully cut right here, and then a new rivet would have to go in here to hold it. And that's how that would have to be. Not saying that can't happen, and it might happen. Not sure. This depends on what the guys say they want me to do with that, or if they can tape that thing off and just go around it. That would be fantastic. It does have enough room to get around it. So, we'll see. We'll see what they say. So this side too, I got most of this off, but there's all this glue that was left behind. And this stuff here is so crisp and hard, I've been able to take a razor blade and just chew that right off, because the racer wheel didn't even phase it. But it's so super hard. It's just, the decal had been gone for decades. And same thing, same thing. This is so gouged up and screwed up that, but the decal took the abuse instead of the boats. That's the way it looks to me. The decal took the dock abuse and not the boat. Because, well, I'm sure there's going to be a few little dingers in here that are going to be all the way through. But for the most part, it looks pretty good. But again, we're going to have a decal going right over the top of this. So this one here is pretty nasty. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that just yet. But because there's a decal going over it, it could get repaired so the decal doesn't have an air bubble underneath it. So, and it wouldn't have to be gel coated. Just as long as it's super flat and straight and the decal glue sticks to it, we're golden. Anything that doesn't create air bubbles. Anyway, so that's a little quick update on where we're going with all this stuff yet today. And I'll show you in a little bit here, I'll show you this eraser wheel in action. Yeah, so I get to go through my cool stuff. I hope you can watch a video at work. Well, so anyway, this looks perfectly perfect, doesn't it? Pull the screws out, went to pick it up, take it out of here, and it's a two-piece unit. I don't think it was engineered to be that way, and I'll tell you what, I saw it. This thing fits together broken perfectly, but we should probably look into my archive of cool stuff. Just saying. I wonder if I got one like that. Maybe. So, quick little thing here. I managed to get all of this off. There's a lot of dock rash and gougy things going on here. So, I'm going to have to kind of be careful. I don't know that I'm going to try to sand this out because, sand and then buff. There's a lot of gel coat on this boat, but I mean, some of these scratches are really deep. Still really impressed with all the dock rash here on this side. I mean, in all honesty, the decal took 90% of the dock rash, so that's a win. I started in on this thing. As you can see, I took about 4 inches off this thing already with the eraser wheel, but I'm kicking the eraser wheel's butt really fast. So this stuff is super freaking hard. Well, it's been there since 1976. By the way, this boat is actually, the bin number, it's a 1977, which when I told Tony that, he's going like, I'm going to sit down with my mom and dad and we're going to have a talk. But actually, they bought it at the boat show. I just found out. He just sent me a text. They bought it at the boat show in the winter of 1976. So that makes perfect sense that this still could have been the bicentennial edition boat, you know, at the boat show in Minneapolis. And it would have actually been a 77, because remember, September was the year or the month that all the new like the 77 cars came out in September of 76. So boat industry did a lot of the same thing. Their new models were already coming out. Chrysler was notorious for this, Chrysler outboards. Their cars, they'd come out with their cars. I got to get out of the sun for a minute. That's so much better. I also have to get the back drape off. I have to get the back seats out. That dangling participle on the ends has to go somewhere. It can't stay here. Found out, well, you already saw that's broke. These have nuts on the inside, so I got to get vice grips on the inside to hold the nuts, or get some help. So someone's running a screw gun out here, and I'm on the inside holding with a ratchet, which there's just terrible, not so much space. This has to come off. This is a windshield hold thing. That's got to come off. That's got to come off. Like I said before, it's just so much tear down on these damn things when you restore them. It's just crazy, you know, the amount of time you got to get. And I really still think this is really pretty. I mean, I buffed on this and got this really shiny as best I could, just to, I don't even know if the camera's going to pick it up, just to see if there's a severe color difference between here and here. And I don't see it. I mean, this has got to get cleaned up and buffed, but this has never seen the sunlight, okay? And this is what Tony wants them to dead to rights match when they do the gel coat on the boat. So I want to see if this looks like this, and it pretty much does. So that being said, I don't want them to fix the hairline cracks that are going on in the transom, because they're probably going to make some more when you see what I'm going to build for this boat, for a motor. And they start up in here and they kind of run all the way down and all the way around the base of the transom here. And it's probably, the wood in here is probably getting fairly weak. I plan on, I'm going to be replacing this too. This drain tube is all cracked to hell, and that's going to get replaced. And it's all dinged up here too, and that's getting replaced. All the previous Swiss cheesage, I think I'm going to make a motor plate for this in the back. I'd already talked to Tony about it. But with trim and tilt, you use these holes anyway. And that hole we won't be using. We'll use probably a hole down here somewhere, or have to drill new ones, just to the footprint of the inline 6 Merc. So there's going to have to be a lot of things that are going to be different here. So rather than, this is a hot tip for you guys too. If you just get a piece of 1/8 inch aluminum and put it on here, it's going to be totally fine, because this is almost 1/8 of an inch here. So if you butt it up to this piece, you're good. If you can find somebody who scrapped out a Chrysler boat, they actually had a motor plate that went over here. And if you can get a fairly decent one of those, I wonder if they even have one. You can cut them down, and I've done this before. Yeah, I have one, as a matter of fact, that I already cut down for another job. This is going on a Lumacraft, actually. But this is one motor plate for a Chrysler boat originally, and we scrapped a lot of those because those went to hell really bad. Those and Glastrons, my God. So you can put this in here and see how it butts right up perfectly with the other one. So you can go do that, and it sits down here and it hides all those sins. So there's that. Maybe not those, but you can find different ones, or you can have one made too. It's pretty simple, you know, just a nominal radius here, and, you know, have somebody bend you one. And, or just get one out of, you know, just regular aluminum. Doesn't have to necessarily be this. But this is getting used on another boat job, where these holes are going to be covered by the motor clamp anyway. So I don't know if I have another one in the building or not. I will have to look and see, because I know that some of those were longer than other ones. So there's a genuine update of things, and everything's going slower than I wanted it to today, because this is just taking a ridiculous amount of time. And my God, with those license numbers on there, holy Christ. Yeah, and working, wiggling back and forth with a razor blade like this to, you know, whittle them off, you know, that sucked. Ask my fingers. They're not happy. I'm going to have to go to town and get another eraser wheel, because this one isn't even going to get halfway down this boat. Anyway, so we're going to go after it here. I usually set up my camera and stuff to do this stuff, but it's horribly boring. It's pretty simple, you know. Spin, put this up against here. And you can see it splitting pieces off. Okay, so let's see. Takes it off there really nice, but I need two hands to really do this, and so I gotta not be doing this whole filming thing. Again, we're gonna address all this in the back at some point. It's really not the priority. Priority is to get this thing stripped down, get a different trailer underneath it, get the decals off it, get the thing buffed, get a different trailer underneath it, so we can ship this thing out of here by Wednesday or Thursday at the latest, because Tony can be my transport guy, and that would be awesome. So, and that means it's a lot of work to do in that short amount of time. The motor build is coming next, which you guys are going to love that one. Oh, like it never happened. That took forever. That was like a freaking hour, and my back is killing me. Finally, everything's stripped off. Now I got to take solvent to it and get all whatever residual glue is there. But whatever they used for this, the iridescent strobe type color, the black came off pretty good. But whatever the hell this stuff was, man, that stuff is tenacious. It sucked like a lot. Just to give you guys an idea what this is like, it's not fun. And by the way, just saying, hopefully I'm in camera range. Who knows? I don't know. Yep. I gotta win a bet. I bet Tony that he would end up paying me $100 an hour to lean against his boat. Ooh. Whatever they used to put that fluorescent stuff on here, or whatever this the reflective part of these stripes, whatever material they used to put that stuff on there, that stuff is so tenacious. It's unbelievable. It just does not want to come off. Still leaves residue behind, but I mean, in all honesty, it does a really good job. The eraser wheel is really good. I also want to show you there's a circle here. And on the back side it says don't go past that circle. And you really don't want to go past that circle. Ask me how I know. Yeah, it cost me some paint work for free. Okay, well that gives you an idea how easy that is. But you really gotta bear into it to get it to work. So, couple things I wanted to show you is the part that I polished earlier, just to get contrast to see whether or not this would come back enough. This did come out okay, but it's still got a haze to it. So I think a guy, the purpose of this and the purpose of going in to start to polish this is I wanted to see whether or not you could take and bring the color back to here, you know, with the, like if you're doing repair, and be able to blend into this area and save this general area here, the motor well, and just be able to lay clear, sand it of course, but then lay it clear over the top of it. Now I don't care about the back side of the transom. I don't care about little spider cracks coming across here, which I don't know if you can hardly see those or not. They're showing up a little. But there's also, I mean, there's spider cracks starting in the corner here that you can see there too. Okay, we don't care about those. Absolutely do not care. There's going to be a motor plate over all these sins of the past. So it's going to pretty this whole area up. I think I'm just going to go ahead and make one. Versus the other stuff I have around here. And I made a video earlier about this, so I'm not going to go over that again. But I did get all this. This has to be solvent washed now and get all this stuff off. And then the next step for me on this is I'm actually decided that with the amount of scuffs and dead gel coat, I'm going to go with probably 800 wet sand and a DA, and 800 wet sand and DA the whole side all the way to the front, because there's so many gouges and there's so much like black marks from whatever the hell that is. You know, that stuff is just sanded off. Plus you got all this you got all this dead gel coat, and if you're just going to try to buff away the dead gel coat, man, you're going to be at it forever. Better off just wet sand it off and be done with it. So, well, I'm going to end this for today, not work-wise. I'm going to end this part for today. I'm going to try to get the other side done and bring it in the shop tonight and get the seats removed. These side panels are going to be a really big problem to get removed, I think, because I would imagine the nuts and stuff are really rusted on the back, and they're going to spin in the wood. I also noticed this part here where this one's already spun out. I don't know if you can get in there and see that or not. Oh, there we go. Kind of. That one's spun out. This will be easy to remove because you can get at it, but if they spin in the wood, then you got to get down here with a sawzall and cut them all off, and without hurting the material. You can replace the board. I've done this before. Get in here and pull every one of these staples. You got to put them all back, but take all these staples out, take the material off the board, and then make a new board and restaple the material to the new board. And you got to put the screws in the right spot. This is a piece that was to the windshield, the back of the windshield, and I'm really not sure. I guess I took it apart on the side of the windshield, but this thing is rusty as hell. So we'll acid dip this dude. When we get it out of here, we're going to acid dip him, so he'll be all brand new. What else? Yeah, pretty much got to get this piece off back here tonight too. Got to get this thing taken off, so I might that's just take a bunch of Phillips screws out, which is boring. I'm not going to YouTube video that. So we're going to kind of cut the YouTube thingy off right here, and you guys know what I'm up to. The goal is to finish up this side, but I'm not going to push my luck with my eraser wheel. I'm going to go pick another one up. So really want to get the rest of this off. All the license is gone, and part of this is gone. The black stuff comes off like a dream. And thank God for this decal, because you see all the dock rash in this decal. On the other side, same thing. The decal took the dock rash, so the boat didn't. When I took the decal off, it looked like hell, but it was really beautiful behind there. It really had hardly any scratches, so I was really impressed. So, cool. Tony is going to be very happy. And figured out where that's leaking. The ball must be corroded or rusty that is in this part. So really, there's no fix. Well, if there's a fix, yeah, replace it. But why? Just don't put the cap on tight, and or the vent, you're fine. It won't push the gas out through that hole. These got to get cleaned up, and I don't know if he's going to want to get them painted or not. We'll discuss that later too. I don't know if he wants to go that far. They're going to be hidden in the back of the boat, so my opinion is, why spend the money? Focus on the aesthetics on the outside and the amenities in the inside, and just focus on that, because it's going to be expensive enough without spending, you know, $200 to get a fuel tank painted. That's crazy. So for the cost of materials and labor, it's just doesn't make sense. So personally, if I did anything with this boat, with the weight in the back like that, all that weight in the back, and the boat weight in the boat mid-drift wise, I'd opt for a forward fuel tank myself, so it'd keep the bow down. But I think he said he's gonna take it easy. I know this guy, he ain't gonna take it easy. He's gonna go out and have some frickin' fun. And that's what this is all about. Bringing back his mom and dad's boat and restoring it. Got to have a little fun, take mom and dad for boat rides. Yeah, I'm all over this thing. All over it. Anyway, like and subscribe, guys. Hope you love this project. She's going to be really cool when she's done.